Hello, hi. My name's Jennifer Frost and I am representing the Crafty Carrot Collective for our very first live for our birthday celebrations. So this January we celebrate being together and providing the Crafty Carrot program for 3 years. We've been working together on this and it's been an amazing journey. I've loved every minute of it and I feel like the community that we've built here has kept me going with my stamping through all different stages of my life and things that I've experienced. So I've really enjoyed it. The program was brought together because we wanted to encourage people to buy with confidence. We wanted you to know that if you picked up a stamp set or a product, that you were going to get really good value out of that product with lots of different ideas and lots of inspiration through an entire month. Hi Michelle, oh people are popping on, it's great. So that's where we came from and our purpose still hasn't changed. The way we've delivered the program has changed a little bit and this is just a very special celebration where we're coming live to you. And normally we share these projects in a blog hop at the start of the month, but we wanted to do something a little different. We're starting to wonder now if blog hops or blogging is still a thing. Do you go to blogs when you're looking for inspiration and resources, or do you prefer looking on your social feeds? When I started blogging, must be like 7-8 years ago, blogs were the thing to do. But now I'm finding more and more that it's so easy to pick up Instagram or Facebook and scroll and you get to see so many great ideas that way, or through Pinterest. So I'd love to know what you think about that. But we wanted to look at doing something a little bit different, and instead of our blog hop, we're coming to you live with our project the same way we would be doing in our exclusive programs. So the projects that we're sharing today are little teasers, a precursor, a little bit of an idea of what we can do, a warm-up for us. We like to have the chance to warm up, and then next month, it's starting in February, each of us take a turn to do another tutorial that you will not see anywhere else. So there's exclusive inspiration that you will not find on socials, that you will not find on blogs. It's only for the people who are subscribed and part of the Crafty Carrots. So I hope you enjoy this little party that we've got for you this weekend. Please do play along. We love when you guys join us and play along. That's the whole reason we're together and we keep doing what we're doing, because we're inspiring you and we're seeing some amazing feedback. So if you've been inspired to play along with us today, I would love to see the projects that you create. So do pop them here in our feed for the group, the public group here. I'd love to see that. All right, just waiting for a few more people to hop on. Hi Marty, Marty's all signed up and she's subscribed for next month and I think maybe the 2 after, so I'm excited to see her come back again and again. It's wonderful. All right guys, I want to show you the project that I've got for you today. So each of us decided we'd do something a little bit different. Last year we did a Christmas collection that was really, really popular. You know, you find that you can't be all things to all people, and sometimes we choose a stamp set that might not have universal appeal. So when we were looking at doing a special birthday bash to get everyone started with the new year, we thought it would be fun if we all chose a stamp set that suited us, and that hopefully you guys would get a heap of different ideas using different stamp sets. But I have already started playing along with my Crafty Carrot friends. They've shared me some sneak peeks of what they're going to share with you this weekend, and I have the best time casing these ladies. So I do encourage you to play along with whatever you have on hand. We don't care if it's current stuff, we don't care if it's retired, we don't care if it's even a different product and not Stampin' Up at all. We love seeing your ideas and your inspiration. Now, I'm trying to think in my mind about how to say this, because it's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed my summer being at home with the kids. This is the first time I've got to experience that working mum, that break, and it's been lovely after 6 months of working to have some time over Christmas and the summer holidays just with my kids. But our summer's been tainted a little bit by everything that's happening across Australia with the bushfires at the moment. So where I am in Victoria, we're not directly affected. There's been a lot of smoke haze and some smoke illness that's been prominent in our areas at the moment. but it's heartbreaking, all of the imagery and all of the fear that moves through all our communities at this time. You know, people, wildlife, there's so much stuff that's happening across Australia at the moment, and it's really hard. And I did turn to my Crafty Carrot ladies and I asked, you know, I can't do anything big, and you do often feel a little bit useless when these big things are happening across the world, but we wanted to do something small, just a small gesture, something to show, you know, to help us feel good about supporting communities at this time. And we have seen some of the recommendations. There's lots of different ideas of ways that you can support the communities and support people affected, but I think the big stories for me that have been really heartbreaking have been about all of the wildlife, and the koalas in particular have a program where you can adopt a koala, and that helps provide them with the care and rehabilitation needed to recover from a disaster like a bushfire. We've had drought, there's been a lot of other things going on, and these adopt a koala programs have been happening for a lot of years. It actually takes a lot of time, money and resources to rehabilitate a koala. So for every 15 subscriptions that we receive before the end of January, we will adopt one koala for 1 year. So that's going to be a really nice way that we can give back a little bit of something on behalf of our Crafty Carrot community. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please don't hesitate to ask. All right, so the emotional stuff done with now. Let's get on with celebrating, because one of the biggest things that we need right now is to look after our own health and well-being, and being able to do that, crafting is a huge source of health and well-being and respite. For me, I don't know about you, I always looked at it as craft therapy. It didn't matter what was going on in my life, I could sit, craft, and immediately feel uplifted and better about things in general. So it's always been wonderful. Now the project I've got for you today is this card here. So I'll show you a little bit closer. I chose the Piece of Cake stamp set. It is a stamp set from the current catalogue. You'll find this in the annual catalogue, and I wanted to show you a way to use it without the cake. So that's what I've done. I've got all of those fun little elements, and I've mixed them with the very popular color blocking technique. So color blocking is huge. You'll have seen this technique everywhere. It's been around for ages. In fact, the inspiration came to me when I was sitting at my desk. My birthday is coming up soon, and I always like to look at the cards that I've got. Some of them I can't throw away, so they live in a box, and sometimes I bring them back out when my birthday is coming back up. So this one here is from Susan, and it's been on my desk for quite a while, and she's got that beautiful, you can see that color blocking. So you'll see examples of that everywhere, and she inspired me to do a little bit of color blocking, and I'd seen this project up here in the catalogue. So this one is on page 63, and you'll notice how they've stamped the detail onto the different pieces to create that color blocking. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you could use a technique like this. But now I need help, because I created my sample and I wanted colors that were really bright and fun, because that for me is birthday. So here we've got the pineapple, I just call it pineapple punch. Is it pineapple punch? Flirty Flamingo, and this one is Pool Party. So these are pretty fun, super bright color combinations. And what I thought I might do is change the colors up a little bit, so that you get to see the one card two different ways. So I was thinking I might match pumpkin pie with the pineapple punch. I can't get past this yellow. It's beautiful, vibrant, and so bright in a way that nothing else is. And this one is Coastal Cabana, so a little bit deeper than the Pool Party that I used in my original. And I'm going to change the imagery up a little bit so that it suits maybe something that's a little bit more on the masculine side, as opposed to the love hearts and Flirty Flamingo and the pink that were in the other one, which would be a nice, bright, fun one for someone who is a little bit more feminine. So I'm going to turn the camera around and get started. If you have any questions as we move along, I am seeing some comments pop up, so I would love to hear from you as we work through the process. It's so much fun crafting with you, so do let me know that you're there, and if you've got anything that you'd like to say, jump in and join in. I'd love to hear from you. All right, I'm going to turn you around. here we are. I hope my lighting is okay. I've got this lovely window next to me. And how's that? All right. So I'm going to do everything from scratch. I have not prepped any of the pieces, so if you're playing along with me, you can do it as we go. I have my paper trimmer here, and I'm going to get a piece of Whisper White cardstock. To create the card base. So let's have a look. Looks like there's a half one here. So for those of us in South Pacific, this was an A4 sheet of paper. Actually, I'll cut it for you as I go, because then you get to see the whole process. A4 sheet of paper, I'm going to pop it in until we're just before the 15 centimeter mark. Oh, it doesn't like my focusing today. So it's just before that 15 centimeter mark. Then I'm going to turn it over so my cut edge is now facing up, and I'm going in here to 10.5 centimeters, and I'm going to score that. And that is my card base. Now the other piece that I put together was a little piece that I had embossed to go in the background. I'm going white on white because there is so much detail going on in our feature panel with our color blocking. The white really helps it stand out. So I'm just keeping an eye on my measurements. Here I've gone, I know my card front is 10.5 centimeters. So I'm actually just bringing it in 3 mils around each side, which is 6 millimeters in total across the piece. So this piece is now just shy of 10 centimeters, and this one will be, because I cut it at that 149 millimeters, I'm going to need to take 6 off there, so that's 143. While I've got that white panel out, we're going to straight away emboss that. So I've got my big shot here. The wrong plates on there for embossing. We're going to need a big shot platform, and you'll love my clear plates. They're all very well loved. I don't replace them very often. It's rare that I'll change those over. So like Susan had done in the sample she sent me last year, I love this card, Susan, thank you. Do you guys keep cards that people give you that you love? Sometimes I keep them because they're inspiring. Susan always writes the most beautiful messages in them, and I do like to read back over them. Alright, so I have I think this one's Softly Falling. It's got all of the lovely little spots. Again, I wanted something on the smaller side to balance all of the bigger detail. So it's all about mixing those patterns. I'm going to push that through. You might notice that that's going to create lots of bumps on one side, but very sparse, not many bumps on the other. And what I did was turned that over. And you have to be a little bit careful with this because it can flatten what you've already done, and we don't want a heap of really flat bumps. So I'm going to go only about halfway and then back, so as not to squash the top bumps too much. So you'll notice what I mean there. Some of these got a little bit squashed to the middle where they'd come down the first time, but because I stopped halfway, I don't have a heap of very flat spots over there. So that's going to give me a heavier mix of spots both top and bottom, and when I put that panel through the middle, you'll notice this doesn't really stand out at all. No one will notice. It's not a full panel. Alright, let me move that to the side. Oh, and okay, I've inadvertently pulled out the wrong piece I was going to emboss that one. Don't you love when stuff like this happens on videos? Alright, so I just have to recut that now. And the trouble with cutting something that's already been embossed is that sometimes your blade can catch, so just make sure that you've got a nice sharp blade. I've gone in there and this one at here. So it caught a little bit, but not too bad. My blade's doing okay. Marty and Cindy both say they save all the cards they get to. And you're right, Marty says she especially likes the handmade ones. There's something super special about a handmade card. Oh, my friend Susie is watching. Hello, Susie. I haven't seen you in ages. We need to catch up. We are being really terrible. Oh, Tanya says she keeps her handmade cards also. That's really nice to hear. Now, I'm going to put some adhesive on the back. I was talking to the ladies about this the other day. I use double-sided tape because when I use liquid glue, I find that I don't smudge the liquid glue in enough, and I can see the glue patterns on the back sometimes when I put panels together. Maybe that's mostly when I use lighter weight papers. Do you guys use tape or do you like glue? All right, we'll pop that on the card base. Oh, it's nice to see so many friends here today. Thank you for joining me. All right, so that's our card base. That was quite easy to do, and now we're going to get on to the feature panel. So to make this feature panel work, we're going to need some strips. I wonder if that's going to be long enough. Let me see. You know what? I'm going to want one that's a bit longer. I know my card doesn't look that big. Let me see. Pumpkin card. You'll see in a minute why I thought that that might not be wide enough. Alright, so we're going to need some strips. I'm going to stick with candles on yellow. Hi, Susan. Susan's here. Oh, Susie has to go. She's off to the hairdresser. Have fun. All right, let's see. I'm going to use my previous sample to tell you how wide that is because I liked the different widths I had going. So it's about 3 centimeters. Ah, okay. So Tanya says she's a tape user, but Crafty Carrot's got her using her glue more. Susan's the one who said she uses her multi-purpose glue and doesn't understand how people would want to use tape anymore after doing that. I thought, I need to maybe have some lessons on glue. Isn't it funny the things you feel ridiculous about? You think you should know how to adhere stuff or, yeah. The things you feel embarrassed about admitting you don't know. That's about 1.5. Now I'm going to mix this one up a little bit for something a little bit more masculine. I'm wondering if love hearts are perhaps not quite the way to go. So I'll show you an alternate idea for that. Ah, hi Michaela. Michaela says she's a liquid girl too, and Marty uses both as well. Well, you'll see a little bit of both here today. Now this is the Coastal Cabana, and I've used the blue with the lollipops, so I'm going to stick with that again. That's just over 2 centimeters. So I wonder, I've gone to the inch lines. Sometimes I use my inch lines and sometimes I use my centimeters, so I hope it's okay to follow along. All right. Just go to whatever mark is closest that I need. So I've got some strips of cardstock. And what I've got here is just, well, I did just have a regular piece of A4 paper lying around. Here we go. All right, this is just regular printer paper. I'm going to pop in, we'll do the yellows first. So we're going tone on tone. I've got that beautiful bright Pineapple Punch. I always thought that I loved Daffodil Delight. I thought that it was nice and bright, but when you see Daffodil Delight against this, it feels like that's a more subtle tone than a bright. Does anyone else feel that way? I feel like Stampin' Up need to change their colours again and give me this one as a permanent. Jennifer Rowe Picard. Hi, Jen. She uses liquid glue most of the time too. Oh, I need to convert. You ladies need to give me a glue tutorial so I don't constantly make a mess. I'm so messy. All right, so I am looking for a stamp. Now you could use, I would love to see, if you don't have this stamp set in your collection, I would love to see if this inspires you to pull out a stamp set from your collection that has little stamps and see how you would use it. It's such a fun way to put a different twist on something that you've got. Anyone got any ideas offhand what stamp set they might use for something like this? We had a tabs for everything class a few years back, and that was lots of small imagery. All right, so I am stamping tone on tone pineapple punch with the same cardstock, and I'm going yellow for the candles. I gave myself some extra room top and bottom to keep the panel the width that I wanted, because I wanted to have a mix of widths. Jen says that she loves how bright and sunny the color is too. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. And I'm not usually a brights. Jennifer, you'll have to let me know. Do you like Jen? I'm a Jen. Or are you a Jenny? Or do you just like Jennifer? Michaela says, I tell my ladies that using liquid glue is like getting used to clutch control. Well, there you go. I just need more practice. All right. So because most of what we do with the Crafty Carrot, we're wanting to, we want to show you all the details. So I'm giving you a little bit of background behind the design, a little bit of background about the choices that we've made. We've talked a little bit about color. Sometimes these are the things that trip you up when you're a designer, and it's nice to hear someone's thought processes around those. It helps you later on when you're crafting to develop your own confidence when you know a little bit more about the behind the scenes of how a project came together. So I hope that you're feeling that. Oh, Jen's a Jen too. There you go. All right, so that was my yellow. And next I've got pumpkin pie. This is actually one of the colors I don't have an ink pad for. So there's a couple of ways you can get around that. I have this teeny tiny ink spot. I think it's like one of the first things I ever bought from Stampin' Up. My little ink spots. But before I show you the ink, I'll show you another alternative using Versamark. I don't think it comes up as bright, but it's a definite alternative. So what I'm wanting to do, I'm going to have a look. This stamp set has lots of great sentiments, and I did pull one of those out in this one to sit on the top. So this one says, happy birthday, you sweet thing. And I thought that really tied in well with these gorgeous lollipops. When I've been looking for inspiration using this stamp set online, I had noticed that not a lot of people have played with those and used those. So that was really what I wanted to do here, is show an idea for those cute little lollipops. Oh, Tanya says, love those birds in the background. Oh, now that you've said that, I'm paying attention to them. All right, so what I like to do sometimes, if the imagery is not going to work, I like to use a stamp. And we can put that in the background. So depending on who you give the card to, I don't know if you want to call everyone in your life a sweet thing. Now, if I was a stamp chopper, I might be tempted to chop that up. Does anyone chop their stamps? The first time I'd heard about that, I was absolutely mortified. I'm going to use this, and because it's photopolymer and I can see right through it, to try and find the right block, I'm going to use, just have to make sure it's on straight. There's nothing worse than when you pop them on and they're on an angle on the block. Alright, if I don't put that there, I'm going to lose it. Alright, here we go. So I'm just going to use the happy birthday from the start of this. And I can see right through my ink. I bring that a bit closer. Oh, I'll bring it a bit closer up here. So you can see I've been very careful with my ink application to only do it on the side of your ink pad. So whether it's a spot or you've got a regular sized ink pad, you could do the same. Just go in off the side and be cautious. And I'm going to stamp the words. I actually really like that this has got that little comma. It's going to make that go all the way along. So in my original sample I had the flirty flamingo instead of the orange, and I used the love heart. Oh, I've just caught that. Scratch it off. Because we're going tone on tone, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving than if I was stamping on white. Here we go. Is anyone stamping along today? Who's playing along? Oh, Susan says she's never chopped her stamps, too scary. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Never done it. And I think too, because I really like, I like being able to repurpose stamps when I'm finished using them. I like to be able to sell them on to someone who would like to give them a new home and give them purpose. And I feel like if I cut into the stamp, I'm kind of taking away someone else's chance to be creative with it in the way they want to be. Oh, Jen cuts hers all the time. Well, there you go. Scandal. All right. I think I'll just do the 2 of these. I won't make you sit through 3. So you can see I'm not being exact. I haven't got the Stamparatus out. I don't need it to all line up perfectly. This particular technique means that it's going to work like this. All right, so I've got those done. I've got some candles. We've got something for the orange strip, and now I've got the Coastal Cabana, which is a bit deeper than the pool party I had in my original sample. She's too lazy to mask, too lazy and doesn't like to mask off parts. Oh, I'm big on masking. I love masking. All right, so I've got these cute little lollipops. I don't know, lollipops on a cake, ladies. Have you ever, gentlemen, whoever's in the audience? I don't know, lollipops on a cake. I've never done it. Tanya, you're a cake decorator. This would be right up your alley. You'd have to show me something you've done. Oh, Lauren's just checking in for a few. Lauren, what are you up to this morning? Are you working? Well, it's probably not morning where you are. I think you guys are still on Friday, aren't you? All right. So you can see this is moving quite faster because I'm not having to be as careful. We've got that lovely deep colour. And I pulled the Versamark out because I wanted to show you, I was pretty impressed with my trick the other day. One of the projects I've cased in the last couple of days is Susan's that's coming up, and she is next in the lineup, so you'll want to stick around, make sure you've got your timing ready so you can watch Susan's video later today. But she had a beautiful card that I wanted to case, but I didn't have a colour that matched the cardstock, so I still haven't picked up the brand new ink pads for the ink colours. I was waiting ages for that purple posy to come back, and it didn't. They had some issues, it didn't. But I like buying my ink pads in a collection, so I didn't have what I needed to make that work, and I was getting really frustrated. And then I remembered this little trick. So if you don't have a colour that relates to your cardstock, and you're happy to have a lighter in the background type effect, I'll show you on this piece here. You could use Versamark. So this is actually a nice clean Versamark. I got this at the last on stage that I went to, a Stampin' Up conference that you can attend. Look at that. So if you don't have pumpkin pie or any of the colours that you want to use that match your stamp, you could use Versamark for all of these. So I'll show you. This is with the pumpkin pie. Come on, camera, you're going to focus for me. There we go. Not quite. There we go. Doesn't like me today. Oh, not my hair. You don't want to see all of my party silver. All right, so you can see here that there we go. So the pumpkin pie was the happy birthday, but you could stamp with Versamark and get a lovely tone-on-tone effect. In fact, for all of this, you wouldn't have needed to have any ink pads or colors. You could just use strips of paper and your Versamark. The effect is slightly lighter, but still vibrant, definitely see, and that would be a really good hack for you to use. Has anyone else done that before? Use their Versamark like that for tone on tone? And that saved me because I wanted to add some candles to the background of one of my cards that Susan had inspired. And I was just really unsure where to go. And then when I remembered that, I thought, woohoo, I love when you remember tips and tricks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to need to bring all of these together. And then they're going to need to run through the Big Shot. So my Big Shot sheets probably would be, I don't know, about there. I imagine that would be big enough to go through the Big Shot. And I'm going to attach all these together just to this piece of paper that we used, using my liquid glue. So I'm going to start with yellow. Then I'm going to add in a strip of the orange. Our coastal cabana with the lollipops. And I'm just aware that my strips might actually be a bit longer than my background, so I better grab something. I see some old notes on the bottom there. Just to catch that glue. If I end up with it all over my work surface, I'm going to be really frustrated. All right, lovely and bright. And I'm loving how these colors are coming together. Something a little bit different. So they're all just butted into each other to almost form your very own designer series paper panel. All right, once you are happy with that, you could use that like that, but I've taken an extra step. I'm going to just trim those extra big long bits off. I'm not going to need that anymore. I'm grabbing my Big Shot, and I have on my magnetic platform, and on top I've got my precision plate to do this so I don't snap my fingers in between the plates. I've done that before, it really, really hurts. So I'm going to cut that with my stitched rectangle framelit. I love the bordering that the stitching gives. The very subtle little detail, and I also love the way you get exactly the right shape without having to fuss around and cut. So I've got this size here, which is, the rectangle is about the 12 by about 8.5 centimeters. Instead of putting it straight on though and doing a straight, you could definitely keep it straight. I have angled mine. So I want to angle it so there's a bit of the yellow poking up here and a bit of the yellow poking up here. Just noticed I've got a little flaw in that. I don't think that's going to matter. It all adds to character, doesn't it? Now, because my sheets are super, super dirty, I'm going to get a piece of that A4 paper and I'm just going to place it on top so that as I push that through, I'm not going to push all of those dirty cut off bits of card from a million years ago back into my work. There's nothing worse than when you've worked really hard and then find it's ruined. Now this is all very thick because I've got that precision plate in the bottom and the extra paper, so bear with me. And then I'm going to go back this way, and the reason I'm doing it twice is because I find that the stitched framelits need a little bit of extra work to make their way right through, and particularly when we've got all of these extra layers of card, we don't want it to let us down. So hopefully it looks like we've got a good, beautiful, that's gone through well. Hello, I've got more people jumping in. Hello, thank you for popping in. Is it Danette? Danette? Nice to meet you, Danette. Alright, so this one is going to go on the front of the card like this. And before we stick it on though, we need a little bit of something. I like ribbons. Who doesn't like ribbons? I've got this bold black baker's twine. Danette says I got her pronunciation right. I hate that word. I'm glad. I don't often. It takes me a little while to convert the written word in your mind sometimes to how it's going to sound. It's lovely to meet you. I'm so glad when we have new friends come. So I'm just using my tape on the back here. I could have used glue, but when I use ribbons and I attach them to the back, I'm used to doing this technique where I pull this along. I'm wanting it in the bottom third. And I use the back tape to hold it in place where I want it to go. And then I just double that over if you want to. And then I like to go over the top with my tear and tape adhesive. Tear and tape has an extra hold, and it makes me feel more comfortable that when I'm doing the bows or whatever attachments I need to later, the pieces aren't all going to come apart. Alright. So I'm going to remove those backings. And I'm going to stick that on the front of the card. And now we just need to add our sentiment. Marty says she loves that ribbon trick. I find it so much easier, Marty, than trying to attach the ribbons different ways. This feels like an efficient use of that tape. If it's going to go on the back anyway, it might as well help me hold the ribbon in place. I'm just going to tidy up my desk real quick for a minute because otherwise I'm going to get in a real mess. Alright, so those pieces are all together. So the last thing that we need is to add the sentiment. So in my original sample, I used the happy birthday you sweet thing. That's not always going to be a sentiment that you're comfortable giving everyone. So let's go with the happy birthday. So that one, and I'm just going to stamp that on white. I've got this piece of white left over from when I made my little oopsies before, and I'm going to get myself a different block. I'll stick that on there. I'm going to use Memento ink. Oh, not Versima. Memento ink. Load that up. When you're working with photopolymer stamps, the Memento is the best way to go if you want to be able to clean your stamp and not damage it later. Then, let's move those out of the way. This is just a very, very simple slice. I've just created my sentiment towards the top of the paper. Oh, that came a bit close, didn't it? That's fine. And then I'm going to tail the end. I just use my scissors for this. I think Krista's got the punch that she likes. And then I didn't make it too long. Do you know what? It's really going to bother me that I cut those tails off. You're going to have to watch me do it again. I'm a perfectionist. Is anyone else the same? If it's not just right, you want to do it again. Otherwise, I'll put the whole card together and I'll keep looking at it. So you get to see us warts and all when we create. I've gone a bit higher this time, keeping in mind that I don't want the banner to be too large. Oh, how's that? Pretty close. There we go. That's heaps better. And if I'd been YouTubing, I would have deleted that and then I would have looked oh so clever, having done it perfectly the first time. You get to see all our little behind the scenes mistakes, all our quirks, the things that bother us, and how we like to work. So that's the little birthday banner. And before I attach that, well, actually I might attach it and then I'm going to put the bow on. That'll be the last detail. So I want this to be quite close to the side. I've got the little mini dimensionals. I love these mini dimensionals. When they first came out, I thought, why would we need mini dimensionals? You can just cut regular dimensionals and get what you want. I'm just going to keep them at the very top, and you'll see why in a minute. The two little dimensionals, and these suckers are strong. I love how strong they are. They're deceptive. So because I was going to stick it over the top of this black ribbon, I've used dimensionals only at the top. And then the ribbon pokes through. Mine's kind of up on an angle, but I noticed that as I was sticking it down and I was quite happy with that. Now I'm going to put a bow on the side, and I'm going to show you another trick I learnt from the lovely Susan, where she is able to add that beautiful pop of bling through the bow. So the only bit about this is I have to try and guess how much I want. And I hate doing that. I usually do my bows on the roll. All right, let's see. So, and we're going to add some of these beautiful mini sequins. This is such a fun way to add sequins without having to pick them up with tweezers or worry about sticky adhesive everywhere. So we've got that pop of silver bling and it's just attached in the bow. You can go as big or small as you like. I like just pressing the center of the bow down a bit, particularly with twine. Just try and stop that. Just adjusting those loops. Trying to stop that twist. Beautiful. And now we can just trim off the excess. I'm going to get my ribbon scissors for those. And there we have it. What do you think, guys? I've got our that was my original sample there with the pinks, the yellow and the pool party, and I've got the love hearts, and here we have an alternate version where instead of the love hearts and the pink, we've replaced it with some orange and some happy birthday. So have a think about the stamp sets you've got in your stash and look at them a little bit differently. Sometimes these details can be missed and you are so busy focusing on those beautiful big main images that you miss the chance to do something a little bit fun and increase the variety of crafts that you can get from a particular set. So this was my teaser project. Of course, I will be back in February. I've already done a design with a beautiful cake themed project, as well as some more ideas for using these little bits and pieces. So I'll turn you back around. There we are. I stand up to craft when I do it on my video. I'm currently in my bedroom actually. So I had my husband move all of my craft supplies when we were renovating. The space that I'd been using is part of the next stage of the renovation. So he was a bit mortified when I suggested we move all of this into the bedroom. I'll show you. I've got a little nook here that I've taken over, but I'm actually really loving it. It reminds me a lot of when I was crafting with Susan and I asked how she gets the chance to get to her craft desk as often as she does and make so many beautiful things. And she has all of her stuff all in front of her as she works. And then she can pack it away as she goes and you don't have to plan so much about what you need and you're not getting up and down all the time. So I might have to think about this when I am planning my new space later in the year. So I've got a few people making some comments. Oh, Marty says, thank you for sharing. No, thank you so much for coming and joining me. I was actually really anxious today. It's the first session back and I knew that we were live in the bigger group, and having you all come and show your support has been really, really uplifting. So thank you so much. Next on the agenda, we have the beautiful Susan Wong. You will love her project. She's so much fun to watch and you get so many tips as well. And then we've got Cindy and Krista. So keep an eye on the times. We are international, so we all post our times based on our time zones. So do keep an eye on making sure you convert those so that you can be here on time. But if you miss us, the videos stay up so that you can come back anytime that you like and review them and review the tips and get inspired. So thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to hit subscribe and join us next month or pick up a 3-month subscription, you're more than welcome to do that. We would love to have you on board. Just hop on over to our blog site. Oh, thanks Susan. Susan says I did great. She's very encouraging. All right, lovely ladies. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Crafty Carrot. I can't wait to see you all again next month. Remember to share your cards. I'd love to see if I inspired you. Bye.